An amazing picture shows the beauty of the Mother Nature and a classic man-made structure. It seems to be a wooden bridge in some lush green jungle. The bridge is pretty long, and the camera angle is marvelous as the photo shows the stretch of the bridge till the end on the other side. The bridge is protected by a beautiful net on both of its sides. The photo creates an illusion of an elevated bridge that otherwise may not be the case. Finally, looking at the image, I can also guess that the bridge is built at some height as there is no ground or land visible in the photo. Roots of shoots are seen in the graph. This is evident from the graph, which shows that the seed is the initial step. The graph shows that the embryo is the next phase in the process. According to the graph, the following phase is known as the seed coat, and it's evident why. Using the graph, it's easy to observe that the cotyledon follows. According to the graph, the last phase is known as foliage leaves. At the end of the day, this flowchart is quite helpful. Comparing house heating methods from 1950 to 1997 is depicted in this bar graph. Coal, natural gas, and fuel oil accounted for 32%, 25%, and 22% of all heating in 1950, respectively. In 1997, natural gas and electricity accounted for 50% and 30% of total energy consumption, respectively. Coal was the primary fuel source in 1950, while natural gas was the primary fuel source in 1997. It is clear that there are 5 distinct stages in this process, beginning with the capture of energy from sunlight. The final 2 steps show how domestic electricity is connected to the external power supply. At the first stage in the process, solar panels on the roof of a normal house take energy from the sun and convert it into DC current. Next, this current is passed through an inverter, which changes it to AC current and regulates the supply of electricity. At stage 3, electricity is supplied to the home from an electrical panel. At the 4th step shown in the diagram, a utility meter in the home is responsible for sending any extra electric power outside the house into the grid. Finally, if the solar panels do not provide enough energy for the household, electricity will flow from the utility grid into the home through the meter. The figure is a line graph showing the depression probabilities in humans as they grow. The scale of the age starts from teenage, that is 16, and ends at 70. The probability of depression is mentioned in decimals from 0.001 to 0.023. The line takes a curved shape as it starts, reaches its peak, and finally ends. At the age of 16, the depression probability is the least, which is close to 0.003, but is gradually increasing as the age advances. The peak of depression shown stays between the age of 40 and 48 years, and then on, it drops significantly to approximately 0.007 when a person reaches in his 70s. Overall, we can conclude that the probability of being depressed is more during the middle age and is least in teenage and old age. How hydroelectric power is created from the sea to residential and industrial sectors is shown in this diagram. To begin with, the sun's heat evaporates seawater. When it rains, the water from the clouds evaporates and falls to the ground. These reservoirs are then enclosed by a dam, storing the water. Valves regulate the amount of water that flows out of the reservoir. It is possible to generate mechanical energy by leaving the valve open. Underground wires transport the electric energy generated by the turbine to nearby homes and businesses. As a whole, hydroelectric energy generation has multiple steps. Everyone has a choice of flavor in ice creams. Above is the graph, which shows the favorite ice cream flavors people like. The least liked ice cream flavor is cookies and cream. The most liked ice cream is vanilla. Chocolate and strawberry got an average response compared to other two flavors. Overall, 12 people liked vanilla, 8 people liked chocolate, 5 people liked cookies and cream, 9 people liked strawberry, and 11 people liked other. The image illustrates how one can have 100% health, which is known as homeostasis. To live a healthy life, one should have a balanced life that consists of mental stability, good level of energy, and top of all, motivation to keep the spirit on. The triangle typically shows a balance between relaxation and stress management, diet and nutrition, and finally fitness and exercise. One should follow a nutritious diet and should practice healthy exercises for better fitness. Nevertheless, it is very important to stay relaxed and have control over the stress. A perfect combination of positive energy, mental stability, and the highly motivated state will render 100% health. Average home energy use is shown in this pie chart. When it comes to energy use, other appliances account for 24%, with water heating accounting for 23%. After that, the temperature is raised and lowered by 20%. In terms of energy use, cooking and idleness account for just 5% of total usage. While cooking, other appliances use the most energy, while standby appliances use the least. This image is showing a bird eating from a bird feeder. The materials used to make this bird feeder are shown on the upper left corner of the image. These materials are an empty clear bottle with 2 holes, a bottle cap with a small hook on the top, and 2 wooden spoons. The main image shows the wooden spoons inserted through the holes, acting as a ledge that birds can perch on. The holes also allow the bird food to escape the bottle. Overall, the image is showing a simple way of creating your own bird feeder. 3 points answer. This image is showing a bird eating from a bird feeder. The materials used to make this bird feeder are shown on the upper left corner of the image. These materials are an empty clear bottle with 2 holes, and 2 wooden spoons. 1 point answer. This image is showing a bird eating from a bird feeder. The median and average sales price of new homes sold in the United States from 1963 to 2011 is shown in this line graph. This progressively increased in value until it peaked in 2007 at about $310,000 on average, and $200,000 on the median. While sales prices rose gradually from 1963 and 2007, there was a dramatic drop in 2009, perhaps due to the global financial crisis, to roughly $275,000 on average and around $225,000 as a median price. In 2012, the graph illustrates the percentage of the population living in poverty by age and gender. When it comes to females, the graph shows that the biggest percentage is seen among those under the age of 18, at around 22.3%. The graph shows that the second largest number is in, with an approximate value of. On the graph, about is the smallest number, which can be discovered. To sum everything up, this is a helpful diagram. The graph below depicts the creation of water channels and how they can be produced. We can see a meander in the first photo, and there are many trees along the meander. There is also a neck in the middle of the meander. However, when we move to the next stage, the sand becomes deposited in the river and eventually, it becomes silt around the river neck. Thus there is a new channel has created, and a new oxbow lake has begun to flow in this direction. To summarize, water and sand pressures are required to sculpt the channels of the oxbow lake. The graph below depicts the chemical components of air. Oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases are among the things. The value in oxygen is approximately 20%, as you can see from this graph. This graph shows that the value in other gases is approximately 1%, which is lower. This graph shows that the value for nitrogen is approximately 79%, which is the highest. The color pink is also visible in oxygen, as seen in this graph. Carbon dioxide, argon, and water vapor are among the other gases. Finally, this graph is quite useful. From 1996 to 2002, the number of males and women is depicted in this bar graph. As of 1996, the population was split evenly between males and women with 1,500 individuals each gender. Both sexes made up the majority of the attendees. As of 2002, there were over 2,000 women and nearly 1,800 males in the workforce. Both sexes were represented at the event. Between 1996 and 2002, the population of both males and women grew. The graphic depicts a line graph depicting the probability of depression in individuals as they get older. The age scale begins at 16 years old and finishes at 70 years old. The likelihood of depression is expressed in decimals ranging from 0.001 to 0.023. As it begins, reaches its height, and eventually finishes, the line takes on a curved form. The likelihood of depression is lowest around the age of 16, when it is near to 0.003, but it steadily increases as the age progresses. When a person enters his 70s, the peak of depression is demonstrated to occur between the ages of 40 and 48, after which it lowers dramatically to around 0.007. Overall, we may infer that the risk of depression is highest in middle age and lowest in adolescence and old age. The graph below depicts information on the world's tropical rainforests. North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Australia are all continents, as seen on the map. Tropical rainforests, on the other hand, can only be found in the northern half of South America, a middle section of Africa, and the Philippines. Borneo and New Guinea are two countries in Southeast Asia. Finally, we can observe that tropical rainforests are primarily found towards the equator. The dual line graph shows the cigarette prices in the United States and cigarette consumption between the span of 1970 and 2007. The source is taken from the Tax Burden on Tobacco, Economic Research Services. If we track the cigarette consumption that are in billion packs, it starts with around 27 consumed in 1970 that increases steadily till 1982 and then starts falling drastically while reaching to 2006. On the other hand, the average retail packs prices that are in dollars is going up from around $2 in 1970 to touching $4.25 in 2007. Overall, I can say that while cigarette consumption has gone down in the given years, the prices of cigarette packs have skyrocketed. The graph depicts data on the demographics of the world's population. The graph shows that, among the world's less developed countries, a staggering 2 billion people are between the ages of 45 and 64. There are around 1.2 billion people over the age of 65 living in developing nations, as seen in the graph. When looking at industrialized nations, it's easy to observe that the lowest number of people, or about 900 million people, are over 65. As a whole, the graph is a wealth of knowledge. The graph above depicts the results of a poll of 35 members to determine what type of pet they possess. 11 of the group's members have a cat as a pet. A dog is owned by 8 members as a pet. 6 of the members have goldfish as pets. 5 of the members have hamsters as pets. Only a small percentage of individuals keep a rabbit as a pet. Overall, the most people had a pet cat, while the least number of individuals had a pet rabbit.